Hello there! Long time ago I released my very first video on this YouTube channel, and it was about building headless commerce with Nuxt Free, Shopify and Tailwind CSS. Since then many things have changed, mainly in Nuxt framework, so I decided to give it another go today but not only do the same content once again, but extend it. So what we will be doing today is we will be building a composable commerce application, which will consist of Nuxt Free, which will be a storefront front-end framework. We'll be using Shopify as the e-commerce platform, but also we will be using Storyblok as the headless CMS. Just before we start the video, I have a cool announcement to share with you. This year, I will be a community partner of Vue Forge, which will be displayed here or somewhere here. And yeah, so Vue Forge is a Vue.js conference that allows you to learn stuff like Vue.js, Vite, Pinia, Nuxt, and many more. And it's free, so make sure to register there with the links below. What is composable commerce and how does it work? Composable commerce is an architectural pattern for building modern e-commerce applications where our online shop is composed by multiple solutions and tools. Let's take a look at this example of a minimal composable commerce application that consists of a storefront, e-commerce platform, and the headless CMS. If you are interested in more advanced composable commerce cases like payment gateways or search engines, check out Vue Storefront. Let's take a look at this product detail page example. The data about the product can be fetched from e-commerce platform, while content such as blog posts can be fetched from CMS. In this crash course, we will be using Nuxt as our storefront, Shopify as an e-commerce platform, and Storyblok as the headless CMS. Throughout this course, we will be building following composable commerce application. At the top, we will have a header with the store logo. Just below that, there will be a banner with the text "Find the best products on the market." Next, we will have a list of products fetched from Shopify, and the section Our Top Picks that looks strangely familiar but will be fetched from Storyblok instead. Finally, we will have a footer with some links to Nuxt.js and to our Twitter. When we click on the product, we will be redirected to that product detail page, and we can click Pay to be redirected to the Shopify external checkout. When we switch to Storyblok, we will be able to change the content of our website, such as the direction of our top picks that were fetched from Shopify by using the client, the field plugin. Just like this. If you are looking for a written guide of this crash course, check out the following article on Storyblok called Building Composable Commerce with Nuxt, Shopify, and Storyblok. Nuxt is a Vue.js framework that we'll be using throughout this course, and I have already generated a new project by using the npx nuxt init my app command. We can check that out here. In our app, we will be using TailwindCSS for styling. So first of all, what I would like to do is I would like to install the Tailwind module for my Nuxt application. I will head to Get Started and just copy this line here and paste it right in my terminal. When it is loading and downloading the module, I will take a look at the next step, which is to basically add or register this Tailwind module in my modules array in nuxt.config.ts file. And I will do it right now. I will go with yarn dev and I will check the localhost 3000 in my browser. And we see this nice looking Nuxt welcome page. Now let's start creating some components so that we can actually see how Tailwind CSS works under the hood. In my public folder here, I added the logo SVG, which is basically the Nuxt logo that you can see in the header of our e-commerce application. First of all, what I will do is I will create a new folder called Components, and inside I will create a new file called TheHeader.Vue. And inside I will just copy the content of our header component, which will be a nav with some styling, a div, and a next link which will have inside of it an image tag where this logo SVG will be. So the store logo of our e-commerce application. I will save the file and then create a new file called TheFooter, and I will also copy some code here and explain it in a second. We have the footer, and we have two links. One for the Nuxt page, nuxt.com, with the SVG that shows basically that this page was built with Nuxt, and also by and my Twitter handle. Of course, you can replace it with yours. I will save the file, and I will now close those two up, and I will create a new folder here called Layouts. And for the layout, I will create a new file called default.vue, and inside I will have following content. I will have a div with some padding. I will have the header. I will have the slot and the footer. So basically how it will work is for all our pages, we will have this default layout where we will have the header, the page content, so it can be a home page, category page, product page, and the footer. Let's save it. And in our app.vue, let's replace this Nuxt welcome with the Nuxt layout, Nuxt component, where we will also pass the name of the layout that we want to use in our application. And in our case, it will be default. So when I click save and I will check our website, we will see that there is this Nuxt logo, which will be in our header. And we will have those two links, one for the Nuxt.com and one for my Twitter. Now we will proceed with building our e-commerce application by implementing the home page. And in order to have optimized images, we will use the Nuxt image module. So first of all, let's install it in our application. And in the meantime, I will also copy the rule for registering this module in the modules array in the Nuxt config.ts file. Just like this. We will start developing the homepage by creating a new component, and for now I will just close all these open tabs, and I will create a new component called HeroBanner. This HeroBanner will have following content. We will have a section, and we will have inside of it an Nuxt image component. And this Nuxt image component replaces the native image tag in HTML. And we will talk about it more in a second. Next, we will have a div with some styling for margin and for padding. we will have a div that will have some styling for the text, like the text will be quite large, it will be bolded, it will be centered, and so on and so on. And inside we will have h1, which will have some kind of merging bottom, and it says find the best products. And we will also have the span with the text green on the market. This Nuxt image component is a component that comes from Nuxt image module. And it works very similar to the native image tag in HTML. However, we can also pass some custom attributes such as format. How this format will work is it will optimize the image by replacing this .jpeg format with WebP, which is more performant and more optimized for the web. But this won't work yet, as we also need to register the domains in the Nuxt image configuration. And how we will do that is we'll open up nuxtconfig.ts file, and in here what we will do is we will create a image object, and inside we will pass domains, which will be an array of domains that we allow the Nuxt image module to optimize the images from. So in here what I will do is I will just take this mdbootstrap.com and paste it right here. We will check how it works by taking this HeroBanner, and we will add it to our newly created page, homepage, in pages, and I will name it index.view. The content of our homepage will be quite simple. We will have a div, and inside this div we will have HeroBanner. Let's save this and see how it works. As you can see, we have the HeroBanner in our website. Before we proceed with checking if the image optimization works as expected, make sure to not make a typo such as I did here. It's not domains, it's domains. Let's refresh the page and let's inspect in the DevTools the source of this image. And as you can see here, this image is now being proxied by the local IPX instance that replaces this JPEG image with WebP, which is more performant. Now I will close up this DevTools, come back to the code, and in here what I will do is I will create another component here called ProductCard.view. And inside of this ProductCard.view, we'll have the following content. We'll have the script setup where we will define the logic of this component. And in here, we will only define the props, as this product card component will not have any logic apart from displaying the data that was passed to it from the props. So we will have the title, the price, the image, the link, and the description. And below that, we'll have the HTML content of this product page. We will have the link, so basically the whole product page, product card will be a link, and it will redirect after click to the link that was passed as a prop. Next, we'll have Nuxt image, the same as we are using for HeroBanner, and we'll also optimize it for WebP, and the source will be passed from the props here. And then we will have the title, the price, and the description that will also be passed as the props. Let's save it. And let's go to pages index.vue, our homepage. And what we will do here is we will create a script tag here just above the template. And in here, we will register this variable that will be an array of mocked products that each of them will have ID, image, title, price, link, and the description. We can now use these mocked products to display a mocked products array. And we can do it like this. So we will have the same HeroBanner that we had before, but we will also add a div with margin bottom and top set for 80 pixels and the display flex so that it will be a list. And then we will display a list of product cards. So we will be iterating over mocked products, those ones here, and we will extract from them ID, image, title, price, link, and the description, and we will just pass them here as the props. So when we save it and inspect the browser, we will see below that we have those three products. For now, they don't have any significant links, they just link to the homepage, and they are just mocked. And also, when we inspect the image source, you will see that these images are not optimized. And we won't be adding the configuration for images Unsplash to the domains because we will replace these mocked values in a minute. I will close this up and we'll proceed with creating a new page here that could be responsible for displaying data about the product details. So I will create a new folder here in the pages called products. And in this products, I will create a new file called handle.vue. This means that our router will handle this page like /products/ and whatever comes next will be handle or ID that will be unique for that product. So this product detail page will have following content. In the script setup, we will have mocked product, almost the same as we used in the homepage, with image, title, price, and description. And in the template, we will have a section, and this section will be a grid, and it will have a next image that will also be format of WebP, so we will be optimizing this image. And below that, we will be just passing the title, the description, and the price with the correct styling. So when we save it, and we will go to /products/free, for example, we will see this product detail page. The next step here is that apart from displaying just one detail page, product detail, we might want to display also the related products. So how we'll do that is we will do something very similar to what we did in the homepage, is that we will create in our product detail page, we will create just below mocked product, we'll create an array of mocked products, which are basically the same as the ones we are using in the homepage. And below that, what we will do is we will just copy the same content that we are using in the homepage, and just below button, div and div here, we will pass the list of product cards. When we save and we inspect the browser, we will see our product detail and also related products here. Let's now replace the mocked products with the data from Shopify. To connect to Shopify, we will be using the Apollo GraphQL module for Nuxt. The installation is pretty straightforward. First of all, we need to install the package. Let's do it right now. And in the meantime, I will add Nuxt Apollo to the modules array in the nuxt-config.ts file. And the next step will be to register the client, the Apollo client that we will be using to fetch the data from Shopify. For that, I would just copy the configuration that I preferred before. And below this image object here, I will just pass an Apollo object and explain it in a second. So we'll register the client, the default client for Apollo, that will be fetching data from this HTTP endpoint. And this endpoint we will get from this environment variable called Shopify Storefront host. Then in the options, we will pass the headers, and the header will be X Shopify Storefront access token. Because Shopify, the headless Shopify Storefront, requires this kind of access token to allow fetching the data. And this token will be also provided from the environment variable called Shopify Storefront access token. To work with those environment variables, I will create a new file here called .env and also another one called .env.example. And in both of them, I will paste the Shopify Storefront host and Shopify Storefront access token. This host and this access token is actually coming from Shopify GraphQL Playground that you can check out in the official Shopify documentation. And as you can see here, we can just test it out. Now let's fetch some actual data from Shopify. I'll go to my VS Code and just close all of this because it won't be needed for now. And I will create a new folder here called GraphQL. And inside I will create a new file called getProductsQuery.ts. And inside, I will just copy the content of the GraphQL query that we will send to Shopify API in order to fetch the products. So we will assign the GraphQL query to this getProductsQuery variable that we can very easily use later on. And inside of it, we will have the query for products with two parameters for getting the first item and also the query. This query won't be needed now, it will be used later on for getting the related products. And just below that, we are passing those variables, first and query, and we are fetching the data about the products like ID, the images with the sources, title, description, handle, which is basically the link to this certain product, and price range to get both the amount and the currency. So let's save it right now. And we'll go to the pages and index.view to our homepage. And we would like to replace those mocked products with the products that are actually fetched from Shopify. So I will just delete this because we won't be needing it anymore. And first of all, I will import this query that we have just created a second ago from the GraphQL folder. And then what I will do is I will create the variables that we will pass to this query. And for now, we will just pass first 3 because we only want the first 3 items from Shopify. And next, what we will do is we will call the useAsync query, which is a composable coming from Apollo module for Nuxt that allows us to asynchronously fetch the data from Shopify by sending a GraphQL query. So how it works is basically we are passing a query as a first parameter, the query that we created right here, and also the variables. And as a return, what we get is the result, and in this result we'll have data, error, loading, just the regular stuff from useAsync data composable from Nuxt. So in this data, we will have data about our products. So in order to display this data here, we need to also modify how the product card list is generated. So first of all, instead of ID, image, and all those properties here, I will just say node here, and I will take it from data, products, edges without the $sign. This is basically the structure here. So products, edges, and node, which will be our product. And then in the key here, we will say node.id. In the image, instead, we will say node.images.edges, which will be the first item, because we only want to fetch one image here. And node and src. The title will be basically node.title. The price, I will just copy it because it's a bit longer. Will be the amount and the currency. Link here will be a bit more advanced because we'll have it like this. We'll have products because we will be redirecting the user to a product detail page. So it will be products. And in here, we will have string interpolation, node.handle. And for the description, we will also have node.description. And this should work. So let's try it out by going yarn dev. You will see the warning here in the data because by default, useAsync query has an unknown type. So in order to eliminate this error, you can add your own types. When we inspect the browser and go to the home page, you will see here 3 products that are coming from Shopify. One last thing here, those images are not optimized. If we check them out, you will see that those are actually JPEGs, and we want to make them as WebP, because as you can see in the product card component, we want to format those images into WebP. But for now, it doesn't work because we haven't added the cdn.shopify.com domain to the domains allowed to be optimized by the image optimizer. So we will add it right now as the second element in this array. When we save it and we'll inspect the page, we will see that those images are now optimized. Now let's add the query that will be used to fetch the data about certain product. I will close this up. I will come back to the code, and in the GraphQL, I will create a new file called getProductQuery.ts. And in here, I will just copy the content of the query that we will be using to get data about certain product. I will change the name because there is a typo. So this query will be using the variable for the handle, which will be basically a unique ID or key that we will be fetching the product by. So product by handle, and we will pass this handle. And we will get the ID, title, product type, and product type, it won't be used to display the data about the product because it will be used to actually fetch the related products. Price range is the same as in the product list. We get the amount and the currency. We want to get the description, the images, and the variants because we want just the main variant, like the first main variant of the product. So let's just save it for now. Let's close all of this up because we won't be needing those. And we will go to products and handle.view. In here, we have the data about the mocked product and also data about mocked products. So I will delete both of them right now because we won't be needing them anymore. And instead, what I will do is I will just import the newly created query, just like so. And I will also use the Nuxt native router composable. So I will say const root equals use root. And from this root, we will be able to get this handle. The handle that is the unique key that are passed after products in the URL. So we'll have /products/free, for example. And this free will be this unique handle. Next, what we will do is we will fetch the data about the main product. And we will do it like so. We will again use the useAsync query composable from Apollo GraphQL module. We will pass the getProducts query as the first parameter, the GraphQL query. And as the variables, we will send the handle, and the handle will be basically what I explained a second ago about the handle from the URL. As a response, we will get the data that we are just renaming to product for easier work later on. So in here, we will have the data about our main product. However, apart from just fetching the main product, we would also like to get the related products. So what we will do in the next step, but we'll do it in the next step. For now, let's just focus on replacing the mocked values here with the data about the product. So in the SRC here, instead of mocked product.image, what we will use is we will use the source fetched from Shopify GraphQL API, just like so. So we will have product by handle, images, edges, first element, node, and SRC. This is basically the structure that is displayed here. Images, node, SRC. So this is about the product image. Next, what we'll have here. For the title, we will be using, instead of mocked product.title, we will use product.productByHandle.title. Same goes for description. And for the price, we will do something different here because the price, as you have seen in the product list component, in the product card component, the price is actually part of two properties. So what I will do here is I will create a new computed property, like Vue.js computed property, and I will name it price. And this price will be a computed that will be combined from basically the amount that we need to pay for the product, and also by the currency code. So that like this, I can just replace mocked product.price with the price. To see if it works, what I will do is, for now, I will just comment this out because it won't work because we don't have mock products anymore, but we will add it in a second. So let's save it and let's see how it works. So we have the homepage and we also have the product list. So let's take a look at this boot. And in here we see that this snare boot was actually fetched from Shopify. Let's now fetch the related products. So for that, we will be using the previously created get products query, and specifically this query here. So in the handle.vue, what we will do is we will also import the second query that we are using in the homepage, get products query, and we will call the use async query once more, but this time we'll do it here. And as a first parameter, we will pass get products query, so the query to fetch multiple products. And as variables, we will pass first free because we only want to fetch the first free products. And as a query, we'll pass something like this. This is the Shopify approach or Shopify pattern to sending a query that we want only the products that are related to certain different product. So in here, as I mentioned, we were fetching the product type, and by this product type, when we pass it here, we can just fetch the products that are related to our main product. So basically, if we are searching for a boot, we will see similar boots or related boots. And we also name it related so that it's easier for us to later on use it to display the product list. So just below that, where I previously commented this product list, I will uncomment it. And in here, instead of how I was displaying the data with the mocked products, I will display it like this. So we will be looping over the related products and specifically edges, and we will destructure the node out of them. And similarly to how it was done for the homepage, we'll have the ID, the image source, the title, the amount and currency for the price, and the link as well with the description. So when we save it and we inspect the browser, we will see the main product, and we also see some related products here. Let's now create a mutation that will allow us to create a new URL for the external checkout for Shopify. I will go to the code, and in GraphQL here, I will create a new file called create checkout mutation.ts. And in there, I will paste this code. So we will trigger a mutation that as a param will accept the variant ID of certain product, and it will create a checkout where the input will be the variant ID, and just for testing right now, we will just set the quantity for 1. And what we want to get as a return value is the web URL of this external checkout, because each external checkout will have its unique URL. So let's save it. And in the product detail page, what I will do is I will import this mutation just like this. And I will create a new method here called redirect to payment, which will be an async function. And inside of there, I will call the use async query composable once again. But this time I will pass the create checkout mutation, the GraphQL mutation that we created a few seconds ago. And as the variables, I will pass the variant ID, and this variant ID will be actually coming from this GraphQL query, so the product. And then what I will do with it is I will just set the location of the window to the data returned by this this mutation, like this. So we will basically redirect the user to a href provided by this mutation. But this won't work yet because we have a button that basically doesn't trigger any action. So what we need to do here is we need to add an event handler, add click, and we will just say redirect to payment. Let's save it and let's see how it works in the browser. Let's refresh the page. We have our snare boot. If we click pay, after a few seconds, what will happen is that we will be redirected to this external Shopify checkout. Now let's go back to the homepage of our application and proceed to adding content from Storyblok. So I'm already logged in to Storyblok and I have created this space Nuxt Storyblok Shopify. So let's go to content, and if I click home here, I will see this quick start page provided by Storyblok. So I have already an application running on HTTP localhost. So let's change this preview URL to the HTTP 3000. Let's click save and let's go to content and home once again. And as you can see from the new major version of Storyblok, the HTTP is no longer allowed as the live preview. So what we should do here in order to make it work is that we need to generate a certificate, SSL certificate for the localhost, and then proxy it through local SSL proxy. So I will do it right now. So I will copy the mkcert localhost because I have already installed the mkcert package. So I will create a new terminal here, and inside I will just create this new certificate. And what it does is it created for me two files, localhost key and localhost. And both of them will be used as the SSL proxy. So the next step here is to run this proxy. So I will just copy it because it's basically what I need. So in here, I will run it. So localhost, local SSL proxy, the source will be 3010, the port 3010, and the target will be port 3000. And we will be using this certificate, localhost PEM, and the key, which will be localhost-key. So basically, we will be able to see the content of our e-commerce application that is running on port 3000 by accessing HTTPS localhost 3010. So let's run it. We see that the proxy is running. And right now what we will do is we will change the URL once more, but this time we will change it to HTTPS localhost 3010. So let's save it. Let's go to content and let's see the page. We see this error because Storyblok expects us to have /home, but we don't have this root, we have /. So what we need to do is we will need to go to not block library, but entry configuration. And in here, we will have real path. So here we need to put just a slash. So save and close. And we see our application up and running. So now we see the preview of our application inside the Storyblok. But the true power of Storyblok is to actually add content to our website dynamically. So how we can achieve that in Nuxt is we can use the Storyblok module for Nuxt, which is developed by the Storyblok DevRel team. That will be able, with it, we will be able to fetch the content from Storyblok and just display it in our website. So I will install it with the official instructions. So yarn add storyblok Nuxt in here. So I will stop the server, install this new package. I will close those files because we won't need them anymore. And inside of nuxtconfig.ts file right here, what we will do is we will add another module to our modules array, because this time we will be using the Storyblok module. So I will add another item here. And we also need to pass the configuration. And in this case, we need to pass the access token, because Storyblok expects the access token similarly to Shopify in order to allow us to fetch the data. So we will create this new Storyblok object here. And as a property access token, we will pass the new environment variable Storyblok access token. So how to get access token in from Storyblok? I will save this file. And in our Storyblok, when we go back to the settings, and there should be, yes, access tokens. Here we have the access token we need. So I will just copy it. And in my application in .env, I will create this new environment variable, Storyblok access token, and assign the value to it. And let's do the same for an example. Now let's go back to Storyblok, and more specifically to block library, because in here we will have a new block created called product. So I created this new plugin and added a field type of plugin where the custom type is SB Shopify, which is basically a plugin that allows us to fetch the data from Shopify directly into Storyblok. So it accepts few options. First of all, the endpoint, which is exactly the same endpoint that we are using for fetching the data from Shopify. Token, which is the same. The limit of the products, and we are only selecting the products themselves. So this field, how it will work is, let's go to content. But first of all, let's go to our application and let's close those two for now. And let's just run the application. So when our application will be built, let's go to home and let's see how it works. So we have the previously mentioned preview of our application. So what we will do right now is we can add this plugin here, product, and inside here we can add items, and we can add some of the items that were fetched from Shopify. So let's add this snare boot, this Monte shirt, and maybe this jumper. So that's it. Let's click done. And we have those items, but they are not displayed yet. What we should do in order to fetch them is that we need to go to the index.vue, the homepage of our application, and we will fetch the newly added Shopify products in Storyblok from Storyblok. So let's add a new line here. I will call it story, and it will asynchronously fetch the data from Storyblok. As a param, we are passing the name of the content page that we want to fetch. In this case, it will be home here. And we are also passing an option object where we are setting the version to draft. Then what we will do is we will create a header, h2 to be more specific, and a div where we will display basically the same product cards that we have here. So we have h2 with the text our top picks, and we have also the product card where we are mapping over or looping over the body of the content that we fetch from Storyblok, more specifically products and items. This is how the products are structured. The Shopify products are structured in a response from Storyblok. And we will get the ID, the image, name, and the description from those products. We see already that we have some issue because there are some props that are marked as required while we don't pass them, like price and link. And basically it's because the price and link are not fetched from Shopify. We only get the image, name, description, and ID. So let's save it here right now, and let's go to product card here, and let's mark the price and link as optional. So we will say default, and we will say that the price will be 0. And the link default will be an empty string. So right now it should be looking better. So let's take a look at how it works on the localhost. So we will go to localhost 3000, and we see an issue with the products. So it's probably because those products are not yet there. So let's go to Shopify, and we have added those, but we haven't published them. So let's click save and publish. And right now it should be working. So we have banner, we have the product list, and we have our top picks. And as you can see, the images are a bit stretched, so we need to adjust them. And we will do that in a second. So let's go back to the product card component here. And in the class of the Nuxt image here, let's just add width full, because we want to have the 100% width of the images. So for some reason, those images here that are fetched from Storyblok and from Shopify specifically, they are quite bad quality in comparison to those fetched directly from Shopify. But we don't need to take care of it right now. We'll go to Storyblok in here, and we have our array of products from Shopify and our array of products from Storyblok. So what is crucial about having headless CMS such as Storyblok at this point is that we can very easily change the content. So let's say that I want to have this jumper as the first element here. So I will just move it like this, and the boots as the last item. We won't see this change yet in here because we have only made this change on the Storyblok. So in order to see it here, what we need to do is we need to click save and publish. And when we visit our localhost, you will see the change right now. The jumper is first and the boot is the last. We can also fix small bug here because we have the price of 0. So let's just change it in the product card that the default value of price will be an empty string instead. Let's refresh the page. and we see right now that the price is gone. The final step right now is to deploy our application to Vercel so that it's accessible from anywhere around the world. So how should we do that? Let's close everything here because we won't need it. We can close the terminal as well. Let's add a new record in the git ignore because we don't want to push the localhost files. So let's just add them here. Let's copy this and this as well. So we won't push those localhost certificates to the GitHub repository. We have the package.json, we have nuxt-config.ts file, we have the example .env example, we have our GraphQL and the components and the pages. So what I will do right now is I will just stop this and stop our proxy as well and just commit those changes. So git add all, git commit feature working up, and let's just push it to the repository. I will close the git ignore because it's not needed anymore, but I will keep the .env file open because we will need those environment variables for Vercel. So this is the dashboard of Vercel where we can deploy our application. So I'll click add new and the project. And I will import the Git repository of this project, which is Nuxt Storyblok Shopify. So let's import it. Vercel already discovered that it's a Nuxt.js application. I can add a root directory, but it's built in the /, so I don't need to do that. I don't need to modify that. I don't need to modify build and output settings as well. I only need to add the environment variables. So normally I would add those variables one by one, but Vercel added this option that I can just paste a .env above to populate the form. So let's try it out. Let's copy this and let's just paste it here. And we have Shopify Storefront host, Shopify Storefront access token, and Storyblok access token. So right now we can click deploy and Vercel will fetch our application, build it, and deploy it. Okay, our application was deployed. We get the confetti from Vercel, and also congratulations on completing this crash course, because if we inspect the deployed application, we see that the products are here, and we see that the content from Storyblok is here as well. When we click on the certain product, we see that product detail page, as well as the related products here. And finally, when we click pay, we will be redirected to that Shopify external checkout.